My name is Peter Keup. I am 64 and I was born in East Germany, and I tried to escape from East to West Germany in July 1981. My parents, they are actually from the West. They moved from West Germany to East Germany in the 50s, because in the 50s in West Germany, the Communist Party was forbidden. And my father, he was communist, and he decided to go to East Germany, where the idea of communism, something new was growing. And so my father took this decision, my mother followed, and I was born in East Germany. I mean, my life in East Germany was based on no opportunities anymore. So I couldn't do it. That they gave me options, what I could make for a living. So I was completely restricted in opportunities. That was like, I felt, alive in a grave. East German citizens suffered under a restrictive travel policy or whatever, so they actually couldn't leave the country. But my mother, she came from the West, and they allowed her that she may see her parents by applying for the short-term visa, and they basically allowed her to go. I have no memories on this, but the very moment when in August 1961, East Germany ordered to close the demarcation line to West Berlin, so they started to wall West Berlin in. A couple of days later, my mother tried to apply for an exit visa, and they refused it. So she had to remain in the country. They told her she mustn't travel any longer because of the Cold War situation. And I guess my mother felt imprisoned in East Germany from this very moment. She wanted to leave. I, realized this from a very early stage, not as a child, but when I was a teenager maybe. I realized my mother wanted to leave, my father wanted to stay, and there was kind of a controversial going on at home. And my grandparents, they could visit us from a certain point. So from the mid-60s, they came to our place once or twice a year. And they tried to support us. On one hand, they warned us to be careful, because to escape East Germany meant you could have ended up in prison, or you could have ended up dying, because East German soldiers shoot at East German refugees. So my parents, instead of considering illegal measurements to leave the country, in 1975 they decided to apply for an exit visa officially. I was 16 at this time, but then they kicked me out of school. So because I wanted to take an A-level, we waited. The exit visa request was refused, and we waited 6 years. 6 years would say, without any perspectives, like, living a self-organized life, a free life, so to say. And in 81, I tried to escape. I told my mother, not even my sister. I mean, my sister and me, we were actually a sportive team. So we, it's hard to explain. I mean, first of all, the relationship to my father was like, I couldn't imagine that he will, support me. That's maybe the way. So to say, you will make it or something, I assumed another way around. So I didn't trust him. But on the other hand, and this is more the reason that I didn't tell my sister, they should have, or they had to go to the police to say, we know about a person who wants to escape, even if it's a brother or son or husband or whatever, because it was a duty in East Germany. So if you know about a crime, you have to announce this. And my father passed away before the wall came down, my brother briefly afterwards. Then I found out that my brother was a Stasi spy. He was an unofficial, so he worked for the system. There was another thing which really knocked me out. Was quite a shock. It was like to avoid any problems, the person who should know about this must have been very small number. The less, the better. So when I decided to escape, it was a process. It was not a spontaneous decision. It was more a process over, let's say, 2 years. The plan was to, it was a bit complicated because after the exit visa request, the East German officials refused giving me visas for foreign countries except Czechoslovakia. For Czechoslovakia, we didn't need any visa. So the plan was to go from Dresden to Bratislava, which is close to the Hungarian border. There I wanted to cross the border illegally, but it was East Bloc country, Hungary as well. So the idea was that must have been manageable in a way. So I had experiences getting into Czechoslovakia so many times before. But this time the train approached the border and I knew that someone comes to ask for the train ticket and the ID. And this time I can't remember if he asked every passenger but me. He asked me if show me a return ticket. And the very first time I had no return ticket. So he called the police and the police came into the train. They called the military police. So the military police came into the train. They even forced me, they created a corner. They covered the window and the door and then they installed a lamp and they even forced me to take off my clothes and then they searched everything and they found this money. They found a little binocular. They found the compass. And it was fair enough, to force me to leave the train. And then they started questioning. There was actually, my escape was over. I was still in East Germany. I wasn't that far away from my hometown. So I failed. I was imprisoned. I spent 9 months in prison, and then I was set free because West Germany paid money to set me free. So West Germany paid for political prisoners. It's a strange experience. Not a bad, not a good, so you have to deal with it. You have to cooperate with all the different lifestyle. I mean, living in a democracy suddenly means you could talk openly. You had free press, free media, and all the rest. And East Germany was a dictatorship. And that was the most remarkable difference. And so for me it was a huge improvement. So I got used to, and what I could do is actually I could take my A level. What I couldn't do in East Germany, I could do the sport I wanted to do. I could study. I could, live my life in a free, democratic world. And this is a huge difference. I mean, I'm the one who travels between the worlds. I'm living in West Germany, so in the former West Germany, and it's the very west of Germany. And I travel to Cottbus, which is in the east. The difference are really remarkable. So one example, in East Germany, the extreme edges of the parliament system, so the extreme parties, are much more voted and much more popular in the east than in the west. So in the west, still the parties in the middle are, popular, but in the East German citizen, they vote much more extreme right or extreme left. So the trust in democracy in East Germany is much less than it is in West Germany. So, there are, and we call it the wall in the heads. So there is something still. That means Germany isn't or hasn't grown together completely. So there's still something. I mean, young people, very young people, maybe they don't see that serious anymore. But also young people, they say, okay, in East Germany, my grandmother, she never lost a job, or she never could have ended up homeless or something. So which is taught in the family is much more believed and much more trusted than what the school taught you or the political, educator tell you. And so there's still a remarkable difference, I would say so.